Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Lue Reviews, the destination for critical thinking in the realm of the unexplained. Again, I'm your host, Luis Jimenez. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe, like, share button. Goes a really long way. But if you want to be notified anytime we go live, ring that ding-dong bell. That way you don't miss a show. And if you really, really love the show, if you've done all of those things, consider checking out the Patreon. The link is in the description below. And we also got super chats that are open, so that's a great way to donate and support the show. All right. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. A lot of stuff. Well, where do we start? All right, let's switch to our Lue Reviews studio. Okay, so I think I'm gonna start here with Matt Ford, and then we're gonna circle back to Matt Ford on some other things. But this one in particular, I found absolutely adorable and hilarious, and a very good example of just where his mind is at as far as, you know, his belief system is concerned. I think obviously he's a full-blown believer, but check out this clip that he had speaking with the sole Catholic theologian, and when I say soul, I mean the Soul Foundation. He was a speaker there. Dr. Paul Thigpen. And so, yeah, let me also go ahead and pop this up. And I want to say hello to everyone in the chat. But before I do, let me fix this thing here real quick. Oh, no, not that. I gotta fix this. What? Why is it not? There we go. Sweet. Fair use. This is transformative work. We are educating the public on the videos that we are sharing. This is covered under fair use and allowable by law. So again, yeah, this is the Good Propaganda Show. I wanted to start here because there's some interesting things that have happened here with Matt Ford. And maybe I also need your help out there a little bit to find a certain moment that he had, and I can't find it on his channel. I found a taste of it, but I can't find the clip that I'm actually looking for, but we'll get to it. So yeah, let's listen to this because, again, very, very interesting. And then we're going to jump into Bryan Bender. Oh, wait. Let me go ahead and pop this up here.
What is your opinion on the woo side of the phenomenon? For instance, I can tell you that it was probably about 5 days to a week before the first orb ever showed up above my house. I had stuff getting knocked over in the house, banging on the walls. Both my wife and I heard separately our name being called. And for me, it was rattling. I wasn't expecting it. And then, like you said, about 5 days later, so when the next orb showed up. Spiritual encounters like that, if you want.
Okay, so he's talking, yes, to answer this question. Is Matt Ford an experiencer? Yes, he's had orbs follow him home and pull mischievous pranks on him and his wife, according to what we're about to listen to. And he compares it to a spiritual experience. So I guess that means that Matt Ford is an apostle. Is he a prophet? Why is he the only one? Him and his wife are the only ones that get to see these orbs. And okay, all right. Well, let's continue.
Call them spiritual encounters. Does that necessarily mean they are demonic or bad? Or I'm just curious because that is so common in the literature, people having poltergeist encounters, things like that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my first question would be, did it ever show a kind of malice towards you? Did it ever injure,
No.
hurt in some way? Yeah. It's so much we don't know, but I will say this, within the Catholic tradition, you have.
Let me just say, you know what? I actually didn't go over the show rundown. Everything that we're going to be talking about today, guys. Let me see here. Let me go to the show notes. So we're going to be talking about Bryan Bender's comments on UFOs, AskaPol's latest audio clips that he got from lawmakers. And we're going to be diving deep into the claims. Let's see here. Oh, no, wait, excuse me. Excuse me. Yes, so the lawmakers are asked about alien bodies because the little bird had heard that they'd seen some alien bodies. The Black Vault, we're going to be talking about the stuff that he released, and Tom DeLonge about his new book based on bullshit. And UFO Jesus goes crazy. He gets very upset. And did UAP Mike accidentally reveal that Lue Elizondo is in cahoots with Sancorp? And so, yeah, that's the last thing I'm talking about. And we're going to get to that. And Matt Ford has something to do with that as well. And that's the clip I'm looking for, specifically of Matt Ford warning people about Sancorp paying debunkers. And now, see, you're changing the order of the show here. You're changing the order of the show here, B. Baker. We'll get to it. But yes, I promise, Lue Elizondo, my new book, please. And of course, we will be mentioning Lue Elizondo's new book, 1999, at all fine retailers. Okay. Let's listen to the rest of this garbage.
You have exorcists who have been brought.
Actually, we're not going to listen to this whole clip. I just realized it's 8 minutes. I thought it was a little shorter, but I think we get the idea here. Yeah, let's move on. This is Matt Ford. This is an actual clip. This is not the clip. This is a clip of the longer clip. I wanted to get into this whole Bryan Bender conversation. And guys, I have the links for this whole discussion in the description below, including the AskaPol audio, where you can find all the audios from the lawmakers today as well. I'm not going to include the link of Matt Ford because I don't like him. Yeah, he's a big jerk. So we're not going to be including it. If you want to go find him, very easy to find him. Okay. So this is Matt Ford on the Tenderfoot TV podcast, or it's the High Strange podcast, more specifically. I guess that's a subsidiary or a branch of whatever. However, I'm sure they have podcasts about all sorts of stuff. That's sort of the model now. But yeah, I wanted to go over this whole Bryan Bender. It's about maybe 10 to 12 minutes of this, well, maybe not 10 to 12 minutes. It's probably about a half hour. But yeah, I wanted to go over this because I thought it was important. And again, I don't know why, but Bryan Bender blocked me. Maybe it's because of my critiques of him being on the Americans for Safe Aerospace, but it actually comforts me a little bit to hear that he's on Americans for Safe Aerospace. But there are a couple of things that I went, that's interesting. And then I also had to sort of look up and get a little bit more clarification on. And it's really the first thing that he says. Let me see here. Incredible Hulk, smash the like button. Oh, thank you so much for that, Renee Cruz. Thank you. I appreciate it. Do what Renee Cruz says. Okay, so let's listen to this.
I'm good.
What's the latest in your world of journalism?
So, well, I sometimes joke that I'm now a recovering journalist. So about a year ago, I left journalism as a sort of daily full-time reporter and editor after, I hate to admit it, but 24, almost 25 years. And
Wow.
I'm still writing, I'm still reporting, but I have a different day job where I'm now basically a Beltway bandit, as they call it. So I'm a communications consultant, mostly helping tech startups and research universities navigate the federal government. So helping.
Okay. I also wanted to, and I think he mentions this a little later in what he's about to say, But what is a Beltway bandit? I was like, oh, that's an interesting thing. Immediately, I looked it up. Okay, so this is the Wikipedia, the evil Wikipedia information on Beltway bandit. Beltway bandit is a term for private companies located in or near Washington, D.C., whose major business is to provide consulting services to the federal government of the United States. The phrase, which was originally a mild insult, implying that companies preyed like bandits on the generosity of the federal government. But it has not lost much of its pejorative nature and is now often used as a neutral descriptive term. So, to be fair, it's a pretty neutral term these days. But that did raise my eyebrows. Companies, Americans for Safe Aerospace, Galileo Project. What's the other one? You get my drift. Companies preyed like bandits on the generosity of the federal government. I mean, like, how many times have we warned about that on this show? And sort of this is like the hypothesis of the show now are these guys positioning themselves to prey like bandits on the generosity and the overspending and unchecked spending and no oversight on the spending when it comes to the military industrial complex and things like the National Defense Authorization Act? And who's going to miss $1 billion? When it's $1 trillion budget every year, who's going to miss $1 billion? I went 30, we almost 40 trillion in debt? Put out the credit card. Rack her up, baby. Rack it up. We had 3 trillion a year? Who's going to miss $1 billion? I'm not saying that Bryan Bender is preying like a bandit on the generosity of the federal government, but he is part of an organization, maybe even two, if I'm not mistaken, Americans for Safe Aerospace. I don't think he's part of Galileo. And why am I forgetting the third? I don't know. Thank you guys for being here. Arrow. Go through the comments. I left one. I appreciate it because it's phenomenal. Let me see here. Blake. Okay, Lou, please do us a favor. I guess you deleted all your old content, so I don't know your story. I surmise you had an experience in life, but recently changed your views. Where are you at with this? Okay, yeah, that's a loaded question. I see what you're saying here. And what do you think the phenomenon is about, whether it is real or if you believe that there's some truth to this subject? Can you share where your crosshair line? This is what I said to a friend last night, a friend who is a big believer in this stuff. I've set my standard a lot higher as for what evidence is. Infinitely higher. I've set the bar infinitely higher than it was before. So to get over that bar, comfortably over that bar, I'm going to need some genuine, hard, provable data. Whatever form that comes in. And I'm open to any form of data. Real, actual data. No trust beam bros, no hearsays, none of that stuff. So basically, in a short, condensed version, that's where I'm coming from. I'm sure you could go through the archive of this channel, the things that are still left up there now, and get an idea of what happened. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff. It was a lot of stuff. Maybe one day I will unlock those videos, especially the last month. I just didn't want those videos to be the last thing of the channel. And I didn't want all of the other videos that preceded it to add to the problem that I'm trying to now highlight. So I didn't want to make any money off of those videos whatsoever. I completely shut it off. I did that on purpose. I wasn't going to leave the channel up. I wasn't going to leave any of the propaganda that I had helped spread up. So, yeah, sorry to get sidetracked there, audience, but I wanted to answer Blake's question there as best I could. I hope that answers it as best as I can. Okay. Where was I? Yes, Beltway Bandits. Okay. Let's listen to the rest of what Bryan Bender has to say.
Helping them tell their stories. But I'm still writing, I'm still reporting. I'm a contributor to Politico magazine, so working on a couple of sort of bigger projects for them. So, keeping busy, but a little bit of a different audience. But a lot of the same topics: national security, global affairs, politics, once in a while, UFOs.
This is the thing that gets me. It's like, it's not once in a while, Bryan. You talk about it a lot. You're one of the most well-respected journalists on the topic. It's not your main thing, but I'd say it's a quarter, 30% of what you do. And I think it's starting to go up. The trend is going up, more of it, especially with the organizations you're part of. So, yeah.
Right.
If I trip and fall into the rabbit hole.
I just realized before we hopped on this call that the first time we talked was in Roswell, New Mexico at that UFO event. And I never really asked you, I don't think, or at least it wasn't in the podcast, what your thoughts on that was. I mean, because it was, for me, it was like, this is totally bizarre. Also, Roswell, New Mexico does not have enough restaurants. But Applebee's was really good.
And that giant alien outside the Dunkin' Donuts, to make it clear, it was a statue of an alien, not a real alien. It's interesting. When I kind of stumbled into the UFO story in 2017, when I was part of that group of reporters that initially got some inside information about some Pentagon research programs that had been going on, that had been kind of secretly funded by Congress in recent years.
And by the way, for this whole 30, 40-minute interview, he does not talk about anything else other than UAP UFOs for this whole interview. So doesn't really get into any of the other work that he does.
I kind of pretty quickly made this determination that I'm going to follow
I just have to answer this real quick. Okay. I saw this question, Blake, and I see this. I'm just trying to figure it out where your skin in the game is. Okay. So my skin in the game is, yes, I had a personal experience. You can find it a lot of places. The best one, probably the best versions told of it is on Somewhere in the Skies. Go check out that podcast. It's in his archive somewhere. That's probably the best telling of it. And probably my first episode that I ever did. The thing with that is that is not evidence. That is not something I put on the table as evidence. That's not something I expect people to believe. It's not something that I 100% believe myself, because it's a 30-year-old memory. A genuinely 30-year-old memory, about to be a 31-year-old memory here in the next month or so. So it's not evidence. So that's where I still have questions about it. I'm definitely curious as to what it was. I don't have any doubts that I did see it. The question is my memory of it correct? And I definitely don't think it is. Not because I don't trust my memory, but because it's a almost 31-year-old memory that has changed. You know, so that's just scientific fact. That's not my fault. That's just what happens to memories. Every time you remember something, it's not the actual memory. It's the last time you remembered it. So it's a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy 1 trillion times over, or however many times you remembered it. So things change in that memory. And then the other skin I have is, you know, dedicating part of my life to convincing people and inspiring people to write their legislators to take this topic seriously and to get more data, especially on that. I think the proudest big phone home I had was part 3, the third one. It was the third one because I think that's when and I've said it many times, that's when our focus on the data, that's when we got Mick West to sign our petition, you know, and mail it in to a lawmaker. So, you know, it's, that's where my skin is also in the game, from an actual boots on the ground trying to do something that was positive within the discussion, and then getting burned by all of the people that, not all of the people, but a lot of the people, the main people within the discussion, especially stemming from the 2017 New York Times article. Any name that you see in that article was a sore disappointment in real life. Don't meet your heroes, basically, is the moral of the story. So I hope that answers your questions. Let's get back to this Bryan Bender.
The money. So if the government's spending money on UFO research, who's it going to? What's it for? Who are the key decision makers in Washington that are, you know, behind it? Because I was a political reporter. I mean, to me, that was the story for us. It's like, okay, this is a political story. It's a policy story. People are really concerned about things that are out there and unidentified, some of which seem to defy what we know about physics. And I decided that I was not going to sort of go too far down the rabbit hole of like sightings and reports and I decided testimonies, because obviously there's this whole canon of ufology that, you know, I once said on a panel that, you know, I covered a little bit of the JFK assassination in terms of like the fight over the government files that were still being withheld. And I used to think that was like a ball of yarn, but I hadn't met the world of ufology yet.
Oh man.
In some ways, it makes this
No
JFK
kidding.
assassination crowd look.
He basically shits on the whole ufology from the beginning to the end of it. Any sort of history, any sort of eyewitness accounts, any abduction cases, and I'm kind of with him. I'm not gonna lie, kind of with him. But I don't understand then why he is on the board for an organization like Americans for Safe Aerospace. It's there's two different messages happening here. And yeah, part of that Americans for Safe Aerospace message is safety of pilots and military members, but it's called Americans for Safe Aerospace. There is no emphasis at all on the actual everyday Joe or the public as a whole. And again, this organization has publicly shown by taking multiple trips to Congress and lobbying lawmakers to get funding for their organization. And he is a Beltway bandit, his own words. So in a way, in a sense, he's advising groups of legitimate ufologists, if that's what we want to call them. But again, I think all of these organizations are missing the boat on that. The military can look at these parts of the sky without Americans for Safe Aerospace. They don't need Americans for Safe Aerospace. They don't need to create a budget for Americans for Safe Aerospace. They don't need former retired military people who no longer have top secret access to any of the things that are new hardware within our arsenal and can actually get perspective and nuance from all angles, not just the Americans for Safe Aerospace perspective. I, as a taxpayer, do not want a dime of my money, even if a 0.00001% of a cent going to Americans for Safe Aerospace, or any other organization that is claiming to be looking at a section of the sky that the government for some reason can't do themselves. And connecting it to the first thing is pilot safety, which I'm all for organizations that are advocated for pilot safety, but we have plenty of those. And they are all aware of all of the UAP, the balloons, the drones, the spy drones, the new systems coming out. They're getting hints of these things. So when pilots see laser beams coming down from space, they don't think it's an alien invasion. They might have a hint, oh, that could be Chinese technology literally spying on us from space. There's a lot of weird things coming down the pipe, and it is imperative for the United States military to normalize and destigmatize and get rid of the UFO alien stigma that comes with this discussion. They want to completely rid themselves of it. They want to squash it. And I have a feeling here, and next week I think is going to be big because we're going to get part 2 of the Kirkpatrick report from Arrow, his final, hoorah or goodbye when it comes to Arrow. This is the last thing that he contributed to. So I have a feeling that part 2 is going to piss a lot of believers off because it's going to have some hard data and science. At least, fingers crossed, that's what I'm hoping for. Who knows? Maybe we even get some more perspective on some of the things that are already out there. Hopefully, Tic Tac, Go Fast, and Gimbal. And that's the thing. Nobody within mainstream media, independent media, no journalist is asking these guys, why can't we get all the video from Gimbal, Go Fast, and Tic Tac so the American public and the murder board can once and for all determine whether or not these videos are worth investing into companies like Americans for Safe Aerospace, which Bryan Bender is a Beltway bandit for, among other companies. He's, I'm assuming, working for a few. He's a freelancer now, essentially, with an occasional article for Politico. I guess the money's better there. No blame. I'm not judging, but I'm assuming saying these things are the reason why you probably blocked me. Because overall, I'm a very big fan, and I've advocated for Bryan Bender's work for a long time. I think even when I was the most ardent believer, I loved his work because it always brought me down to the ground, to the base, to reality. It always made me question my belief system. Even so, it didn't work every time, but most of the time I'd say it did. And so I've got a big respect for him, but it's, these post-journalist actions in this realm, they're red flags for me, to be honest. Especially when you call yourself a Beltway bandit, but let us continue. And look, I know somebody, old hippie, is saying I'm missing a big story here with Sheehan and whoever else. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the story. I don't want to comment on something that I'm not 100% I mean, this guy's killing me. You're killing me. I love you, but you're killing me. All right.
Small fries.
Exactly. But you know what? You know, my takeaway from Roswell and others is sort of like, if UFO research could sort of start now and go forward and throw away all the stuff in the past, I think we could be more effective at actually finding some answers to some of these mysteries, because just the level of scar tissue that exists and the different viewpoints on, you know, was Roswell an alien crash? Was it, you know, some military test? Was it a cover up? What happened there? I mean, it's like, it's almost impossible for a journalist in modern day to untangle that mythology versus fact. And, you know, you saw that on display in Roswell. I mean, I went to one of the panels, what was like, you know, it was a lot of people on the panel. It was like 40 white guys lined up all over the age of 70. And like, they had like, each of them had two different theories about what happened there.
Right.
And they were adamant about it. You know, I mean, obviously I'm exaggerating a little bit, but, you know, the journalist to me was like, I wouldn't even know how to write this story.
Right. Is there a story?
Write the story of Roswell, Bender. I mean, I'd be like, I don't even know where to start. But it's not unlike religion. I mean, some people have their own sort of little lane in the world of ufology that they believe, and many of them have read millions of books and done all kinds of independent research, and they believe it as if it's gospel, and it's like nothing is going to change their mind. There's pretty widespread belief or kind of gut feeling that we are not alone in the universe as an intelligent species, whatever species might mean, you know, elsewhere in the universe.
Totally fair.
It could mean something very different than what we think of. And I think you could also go a step further and say there's decent amount of evidence, certainly circumstantial, if not even more than that, that they actually do exist somewhere in some way. Because, I mean, it's hard to look back over history, and even in ancient religions, I mean, so many references to some sort of heavenly beings coming here, you know, having some sort of role, certainly in our sense of ourselves as a human race. And
before he goes on, that's just, I feel like humanity has changed this thing from angels and demons to airships and, you know, orbs and cigars to discs and saucers to protein paint, you know, what is it? Protein protein tanks, right? Protein. Is that the gas? That is. You know, like, it just evolves, man. It's just, I think that is human nature. To constantly look to the skies, to constantly give ourselves meaning, to constantly search for something that gives us purpose. We are explorers by nature. We are improvers of things. We make things and then we improve upon them until they are no longer improvable. The can opener, for example. First ones were tough. Now look at them. Music. Came on a record. Then we went to an 8-track? A reel-to-reel? CDs, tapes, like, now it just comes from the cloud. Like, I don't know. I just feel like humans have a tendency to be storytellers and to ascribe meaning to things, especially their existence. And to think that, oh, we couldn't have just slowly over billions of years evolved into what we see today it must have been from something or someone else. And you'll change that something or someone. You know, now we've got from all this, now it's aliens. I feel like it's slowly going to that. I hope it doesn't. Because if this, like, belief, if you're a believer versus you're not believer, skeptic versus believer, it's a religion on both sides. It's a religion on both sides. But the thing about being a skeptic is, like, we're not making the claims. We're just asking for the evidence. Simple as that. And if there is a reason to such a clash, is you guys are so ardent. It's so goddamn mean about it. Like, how dare we question you? Even questioning you is an insult. And I think that's where it's just unreasonable. It's unreasonable communication.
I tend to be among those who believe that, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire. There probably is something that fits that description somewhere in the universe, far away or maybe not so far away.
But he doesn't say here.
But then the second bucket I sort of think about is, and this gets into some of the reporting that I was involved in, you know, the question of whether our government or governments of the world have some really solid answers to that question or evidence of that they've been hiding from us. I consider those sort of two different lanes, if you will, because I think you can believe that there are aliens or there are extraterrestrials or some sort of form of intelligent life that, for whatever reason, we can't kind of put our finger on in a sort of convincing way where everybody's like, oh yeah, of course they're here or they've been here. And I'm in that camp, but I'm not yet convinced, like many people in the world of ufology are, that the evidence of that, the proof of that, is somehow resident in some secret government agency or buried under Area 51. And in the grandest conspiracy of all time, the US government, presumably in cahoots with other governments in the world, has kept that hidden from the global public. I don't think that there's evidence of that.
I would imagine that even though
Zero
it's
evidence.
been on UFO Twitter and shit on a bunch of front page everything all over the news circuit, some people have probably been living under a rock or just haven't heard about this yet. So to speak to them, just give me a little like short recap log line on David Grush. Who are we talking about?
So David Grush is a now former intelligence official. He worked for the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, NGA, which is sort of one of the alphabet soup intelligence agencies, really responsible for, like, you know, using space to map the Earth. But he was part of this Pentagon task force that was set up by Congress a couple of years ago to, you know, basically answer some of these questions. Like, were there secret government programs that might know about, you know, extraterrestrial crashes? Were there programs that could have been reverse engineered, where we learned some new technology from something that we recovered that we couldn't explain? So David Grush was part of that effort. Last year, he came forward publicly and also filed a request for an investigation through the Inspector General for the intelligence community, which is sort of like the internal watchdog over all the spy agencies. And his claims are that he talked to dozens of people on the inside with clearances like himself who assert that the government did, in fact, have in its custody at some point UFO crash material, and that there was an actual secret program to figure out how does that stuff work. He's made those claims publicly. He's testified before Congress, but he is the first to say that none of the some 40 people that he says he talked to on the inside or people that had real knowledge, does he have firsthand knowledge himself? In other words, he's never seen anything. He's never worked on such a program. He's hearing this from people who swear that this is the case.
Okay. Again, this is where I'm going to stop. I'm going to move on. Don't worry about it, old hippie. This is the part that I think is the most important. And I wanted to build up to it because I think look, he goes on again, he keeps going. But this is the thing that I keep telling people, and people keep saying, no, you're wrong. He has not seen any of the programs. He has not been part of any of the programs. He doesn't know where they're located. He doesn't know where the money comes from. He hasn't been read in to any of those programs. He is literally taking hearsay, and trust me, bros, from his friends, the 40 witnesses, which we'll get into that here in a minute as well. And we called this, the moment he came out and he said, oh, you have 40 witnesses? I said, don't be shocked to find out when those 40 witnesses and people that he interviewed are Travis Taylor, Eric Davis, Eric Weinstein, Gary Nolan, maybe not Eric Weinstein, but Gary Nolan, the usual crowd, Chris Mellon, Lue Elizondo, David Fravor, Alex Dietrich. Like, we can get to 40 people, Jeremy Corbell, the Kid Green, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. And trust me when I say every single one of those 40 people that we can get to wanted to talk to him more than he wanted to talk to them. I promise you, it's the same old faces that we've seen for, I bet you Robert Salas is one of the 40 people. No doubt. Like, it's a joke. But again, I wanted to emphasize
real knowledge. Does he have firsthand knowledge himself? In other words, he's never seen anything. He's never worked on such a program. He's hearing this from people who swear that this is the case. And when I say I don't think there's evidence of these claims, we don't know what these secret programs were. We don't know where they were run. We don't know how they were hidden.
How are they funded?
Now, granted, they could all be secret, deeply classified, and so that's why we don't know. But I also think we have to consider that one of the most common things humans do, you and I do it probably all the time in our daily lives, is play the game of telephone, which is I talk to somebody who knows my brother-in-law, who works in the secret agency, who saw the alien bodies at Area 51.
Okay, so did you hear that? It's a game of telephone, believers. Okay, so if you want to go yell at somebody... Wait, oh, there it is. If you want to go yell at somebody, yell at the team for Americans for Safe Aerospace. Why do you have a team member on your team who just said those things about UFOs and David Grush? He's a veteran. Ryan Graves, why is Bryan Bender on your team? Why? There he is. VP Communications Strategy, SMI, ex-defense editor at Politico. He's on the advisory board. Oh, look who else is on the advisory board. I wonder how many people we got here. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18, 21 people. That's already half our list right there. David Grush could definitely interviewed. I mean, Jay Stratton for sure. Tim Galladay for sure. Mike Gold, probably. Avi Loeb, probably. Christopher Mellon, definitely. Gary Nolan, definitely. David Fravor, Alex Dietrich, definitely. So shit, y'all. It's a game of telephone. So if you're mad, believers, and you're wondering why the skeptics are like, yeah, this sounds like bullshit. We're getting two stories. We got the left hand doing one thing while the right hand's doing something completely different. They're saying completely opposite things while advocating for UAP witnesses to come forward. It's the weirdest shit ever. And maybe you're starting to get the idea of where this is going. Let's get on to our next thing. I know fucking Hippie will be very happy about this. We're moving on, but kind of moving on, but not really. So David Grush, Game of Telephone. I'm going to go ahead and unbookmark this one. Don't need that story anymore. Okay. This is another thing that Bryan Bender said. And this is my response to the news of Brandon Fugel and Travis Taylor advocating against the Chuck Schumer UAP bill and helped kill it within Capitol Hill. And so this news just came out, and because at the time we had people like Matt Ford, again, we're touching on the old propaganda Ford show, coming out publicly and saying that Mike Turner, people like Mike Turner, the Republicans, the Mikes, Mike Turner, I can't remember the other two Mikes, but there was a few other Mikes, Republicans that were advocating against the Chuck Schumer bill. They're like, it's a waste of time. We don't need to be spending money on stuff like this, which I agree. Sort of. I wouldn't mind spending money on it. I just don't want to give the money to the people that want the money for it. I think when we give the money to the right resources, we get reports like we're getting from Arrow, actual scientific data reports that are doing the actual work on all of this stuff without a bias. Without a bias, that is the most important thing. The most important thing. Anybody who was running or part of ATIP has a big bias toward believing this stuff is real. But a quote from Bryan Bender, I would even say Lue groomed David Charles Grush a bit for several years now. So again, like David Grush is being groomed by Lue Elizondo on probably how to deal with media, how to answer questions, how to filibust, especially filibust, and give non-answers to people's very important questions. He's very good at that. He's good at deflecting to things that he said in the past. Oh, you want a direct answer to that question? Reference my News Nation interview. Like, it was absolute horseshit. I was going to mention this, but I don't want to talk about this. Okay, so let's talk about Greenwald here for a minute, because he had a wonderful week here on Twitter. He had a whole bunch of FOIA requests come in, which also prompted some more FOIA requests to go out. One in particular that I found very interesting. Someday, and John, this is what John said about this FOIA. Some people say FOIA doesn't reveal anything useful. I always say, yes, it sure as hell does. Maybe not your desired, quote, smoking gun, but it's clear those people just don't know what to look for, nor have they ever used it. I live for the nuggets like this. So this is a new document from the NRO, the National Reconnaissance Office, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so this is there was two things. This is one of them, and this is dated May 10th, 2021. Doesn't tell you who it's from or who it's to, but the subject is the UAPTF training video. Ooh, hello, Blank. Blank and I just watched the UAPTF training video that you posted on Blank. It's very good, and we would like our leadership to watch it. However, they might not have access to Blank. Can you post this video somewhere on the high side where we can get it? For example, can you post it to a folder in the files/Dropbox below? Blank. So there's a UAPTF training video. Interesting. I wonder what's in that video. I bet you not a 22-minute video. Not a 22-minute. I guarantee you it's nothing that we haven't seen. I promise you. Promise you. Oh God, I'm dying to know what's in that video. Okay, so that was the first thing. He said, new document from an NRO document drops 20 minutes ago, and yes, I requested the video. So again, he's already requested the video, so hopefully John Greenwald can get this video, because damn, that would be absolutely epic. Let's see here. Where is the Greenwald stuff? Okay, there we go. The second thing that he dropped that I found really cool was this. During the now defunct UAPTF era, not even 3 years ago, the NRO had a secret code name for their effort to assist the UAP investigations. They won't tell you what it is from a new NRO drop of UAP related records just this morning. Okay, so my name is blank, and I work for the NRO/mid blank. And this is what John highlighted. My office is the focal point in the NRO for the UAP stuff. For UAP stuff. Our efforts to support the UAPTF is called blank. And we're already coordinating with the blank office. Would you like a copy of the blank proposals you provided? My job is to assist blank in getting funding. Again, I have a feeling these are staffers, maybe? I don't know. We'll see. We shall see, and I'm excited to see. But yeah, dude, it's there was another thing here John had put out that I absolutely loved. I know that he did this Joe Firmage thing. Joe Firmage, a 90s teen tech prodigy who became known as the Fox Mulder of Silicon Valley, is accused of taking money from an 80-year-old woman he moved in with, cutting off her access to family, and leaving her in squalid Salt Lake City home without water or electricity. That's on top of a federal lawsuit alleging he defrauded investors out of $25 million since 2022 in a Ponzi scheme promising government contracts for his cutting-edge aerospace technology. I'm telling you right now, and there's a link to an Axios article. We're not going to read the article, but this is, again, another one of the things that John has his hands in this week. There's even one more that I really love. This is the 120 pages of emails between the NRO and the UAPTF. And I'm sure there's a ton of shit that's coming out of that. I haven't had a chance to read all of that yet. But where was the other thing that I wanted to talk about? It was a UAP sighting that was pretty cool. Okay, here it is right here. So this is UFOs. UFOs over Site R, Raven Rock Mountain Complex, 1976. I never read this one before. John posted this at 21, but he just reposted this, and I thought this was really cool. So the following documents obtained from the Office of the Assistant Secretary of Defense, Freedom of Information and Security Review Office. It was released at the Black Vault in September 2097 through FOIA case 97F 1677. The documents depict multiple UFOs being seen over Mount Airy, Maryland, which were reported to the Fort Ritchie Military Police. In addition, 2 different patrols at a facility known as Site R, also known as the Raven Rock Mountain Complex. Site R is also known as the, quote, underground Pentagon and considered a highly sensitive area. 2 patrols saw those oblong objects over their complex. A desk sergeant also saw the UFO over an ammo storage area about 100 to 200 yards over it. Another Army police sergeant who also saw the UFO in the vicinity of Site R while on their drive to work. And this is pretty badass. This is actually a cool sighting. Like, this is one of those, 1976, but in 1976, I can think of a couple of things that this could have been. But let's listen to the report, because it's really cool. So it's from the National Military Command Center. Okay, it's a memorandum for records sent on July 1976 from the Joint Staff. Okay, so, oopsies. Subject, reports of unidentified flying objects, UFOs. At approximately 3:45 Eastern Daylight Time, the ANMCC called the Indicate, and they had received several reports of UFOs in the vicinity of Fort Ritchie. The following events summarize the reports. Times are approximate. At 1:30, civilians reported, okay, so at 1:30, this is an hour and a half before it gets to the gate, right? At 3:45. Or an hour and 15 minutes. Civilians report a UFO near Mount Airy, Maryland. This information was obtained via a call from the National Aeronautics Board to the Fort Ritchie Military Police. At 2:55, two separate patrols from Site R reported sighting 3 oblong objects with a reddish tint moving east to west. Personnel were located at separate locations on top of the mountain at Site R. At 3 o'clock, Desk Sergeant at Site R to the top of the Site R mountain and observed a UFO over the ammo storage area at 100 to 200 yards altitude. At 3:45, this is 45 minutes later, that's quite a bit of time. So we got 1:30 to 2:55, that's an hour and quite a bit of time. 1:30, yeah, so that's almost an hour and a half. Hour and 25 minutes, and then at 2:55, 3 o'clock, so that's another 35 minutes from A to B to C, and then we go from 3 o'clock, and then 45 minutes later, an Army police sergeant on his way to work at Site R reported a UFO in the vicinity of Site R. ANMCC was requested to have each individual write a statement on the sightings. One individual stated the object was about the size of a 2.5-ton truck. Based on the JC5 memorandum subject, temperature inversion analysts dated 13th November 1975, the MCC contacted the Air Force Global Weather Central. The duty officer LTC overby reported that the Dulles International Airport observation showed 2 temperature inversions existed at the time of the sighting. Let me see here. Why is it? The first extended from the surface to 1,000 feet absolute, and the second existed between 27 and 30,000 feet absolute. He also said that the atmosphere between 12 and 20,000 feet was heavily saturated with moisture. A hard copy message will follow. So there was some pretty weird shit going on with the weather that might have explained these 3 oblong objects. But what's cool about this is you have 3 different perspectives seeing this thing. So I thought that was pretty dope. And then when you start looking into, now it would be interesting that if anybody has been in contact with LJ LeBlanc, the Brigadier General who sent this letter, but it was distributed to all of these departments here. When you start looking into, this was a serious office. This was some serious shit. 1976. I don't even know. I don't know. I didn't have a chance to look this up, but I'm curious to know how high planes flew in 1976. Did they fly at 30,000 feet? Is that something that people were normally seeing at 27,000 feet? I'm curious. I'm wondering, because that's an interesting number as well. Like the second one existed at between 27 and 30,000 feet, while the other 2 was 1,000 feet off the ground, and then the other one was a couple hundred feet, I guess 200 feet off the ground, 200 yards rather. So yeah, that was just John Greenwald had a killer week, and there's going to be a ton of stuff. That being the big one is sort of this video, this training video. So I'm interested to see what comes out of that. And so awesome job by John Greenwald. And then that leads us to go into so many things. Okay, so this was something interesting that happened. Enigma Labs posted this, and this got me thinking, man. God, the money behind this there's got to be some deep pockets behind this. I know this seems really simple, but I got to tell you, it costs a lot of money to have a publicist that can get your brand in a New York Times crossword puzzle. So Enigma sent this out on February 29th. The only thing better than a hashtag UFO sighting is seeing your name in the @New York Times Games, @New York Times crossword. Thanks for the shout out. And so the question is, sightings of them can be reported on the Enigma app. So it's 25 down, and it's 4 spaces. Okay. It's one of the, and look, there's no other words on this crossword, which tells me for sure it's a publicist. The publicist sent them this, hey, this is some of the coverage that we got for Enigma for the $10,000 that you sent us. Like, it's a lot of money to get stuff like this done, to get your name in certain publications, even just the name of the company. So this is just I just got me thinking, okay? Like, I'd love to know who's part of this organization, who is part of it. Okay, so sightings of them can be reported on the Enigma app, and the answer is UFOs. So again, like, you know, just something to keep an eye on. I'm not saying it's evil, but I'm just saying it's got deep pockets, really deep pockets, if they're attributing a crossword puzzle in the New York Times, an answer to a crossword puzzle question, citing, like, as if everyone's going to know what the Enigma app is. Like, this is some, like, Coca-Cola. You know, people could be drinking them in movie theaters, you know, like, oh, Coca-Cola, you know, like they had to put Enigma app in here. And there's, I mean, it gives you clues, sightings in Enigma. Gee, UFOs, like anybody smart can figure that out. But this is advertising in a crossword puzzle. I don't know. I don't know why that blows my mind, but it does. Okay, so let's get to the Dr. Taylor drama, the Travis Taylor drama. I know there's some other Travis Taylor, Danny Sheehan drama that I'm not totally aware of, or I don't know, I might have heard some about it, but I'll talk more about it when I am 100% familiar. Okay, so there you go. This is the video. Okay, so Christopher Sharp says, in this leaked email, Travis Taylor, former scientist with the UAPTF, indicates that he and Brandon Fugel opposed eminent domain language within the UAPDA. Multiple sources have confirmed this to me. However, it is essential that both Brandon and Travis retain the right to respond. I love how Christopher Sharp is literally holding the reins to the mob, or he thinks he is. Let's give him a chance to respond, everybody, before we crucify them for help knock down the bill that we so desperately wanted to pass. So Travis Taylor writes, and I guess we're talking about it. Here we go. Right? This is what we wanted. So Travis Taylor writes, anything Sheehan says is total horseshit from anal extraction. Wow. He said such bullshit about the Schumer Rounds Act, me, Jay, Rep Turner, etc. The opposition to that act was purely Alabama and Utah pushing back on the eminent domain. If we dig something out of Skinwalker Ranch, you think the Fed should own it? Well, Mr. Fugel didn't. I didn't. So we stood up against it. He has no damn idea what he's talking about, and he's just trying to be in the spotlight. Lue is a great dude, vet, patriot. Travis. Always. He's always a good dude, vet, and patriot. Unreal. This is so funny. So yeah, this is another email from Travis Taylor. I never assumed anything said here was safe, LOL. I said in many public places, I oppose eminent domain as it violates my Fourth Amendment rights. So whatever, if a Green Lantern ring finds me, the government ain't gonna take it. And not gonna lie, I don't mind them if they really believe what they believe, which I don't think they do. I think some of them do, but I don't think all of them do. But what if it's a Chinese artifact that lands in Skinwalker Ranch? Do you have eminent domain of that because it's on your ranch? I think the same should apply for alien technology that fell from the sky. No offense, don't want it in the hands of Travis Taylor and Brandon Fugal. Because if anything has shown us in the past that they're not one for really sharing data and providing data to the claims that they make. And they've also established themselves as an entertainment company. And they make claims of the Skinwalker hitchhiker effect being a real thing that has killed people and that has caused illness as serious as cancer because of the radiation that emanates from it or whatever. Yet they're doing tours and conventions where they hug and give people high fives. Like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So it is curious to know why Travis Taylor and Brandon Fugal were pushing against this so hard. Because I'd be honest with you, I don't think eminent domain is good enough. It's just not. And if you really think that putting that in a bill, a UAP amendment bill, is genuinely going to stop the federal government from coming on that land and taking that alien technology, let's just say for one moment, it was alien technology, you're not keeping it. I don't care what any bill says. You don't get to keep it. Sorry. Is it unfair? Yeah. Does it violate your Fourth Amendment rights? Absolutely. But there are much better people that need to look at that than Travis Taylor and Brandon Fugal. And definitely keep it away from Eric Bard. Because as soon as they see it, it's going to be alien. I mean, we get flies on television that are turned into craft traveling at thousands of miles per hour. I do not want to leave any sort of alien technology in the hands of those people. No offense. I say that with all due respect. I just don't want you guys looking at it. And again, like, I don't think any standing up against the bill is going to do anything. I think you guys are straw manning, and I think you guys are trying to make excuses so you don't get crucified by the people that you're selling stuff to. That's what I think, because they're ready to burn you guys at the stake for that. Anyway, so here we got Tom DeLonge with a brand new book called Trinity with New York Times bestselling author A.J. Hartley. From the imagination of Tom DeLonge. He literally ripped off the Trinity book that was co-authored by Jacques Vallée. A novel from the this is why I love Dean Johnson. A novel from the imagination of Tom DeLonge, says the legend on the cover of the forthcoming book Trinity, co-authored by author Raj Hartley, or AJ Hartley, excuse me. Not Raj, AJ Hartley. Based on the publisher's promotional, it is a UFO-themed novel set in 1962. Spin quotes DeLonge as saying the novel is loosely based on a UFO event that DeLonge thinks really happened, even though it's been proven as a fucking hoax. But that's okay. DeLonge thinks it really happened, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He thinks it's real. He's going to write a fantasy book off of it. And in 20 years, there'll be a whole religion based off of this book. Well, I mean, Tom DeLonge, there'll be a whole lore connected to this book that'll just drive another generation of bullshit and conspiracy. Most likely, DeLonge was fooled by the UFO-centered tall tale that serial pretenders Remy Baca and Jose Padilla cooked up in 2003 and set in August 1945 near the Trinity atomic bomb test site, which was the hoax story that also fooled Jacques Vallée and inspired the book Trinity, the best kept secret. So now, the shoddy Baca Padilla hoax has inspired 2 book-length works of fiction, but at least the DeLonge Hartley book has the virtue of being openly labeled as a novel. Ramy Baca unsuccessfully tried to sell the rights to his 1945 UFO crash story for $250,000 before he died in 2013. Vallée's co-author, Paola Harris, revealed this during a master class on Trinity in September 2023. The tickets were $30. But I rather doubt that the Baca family will be getting any royalties from salaries or spin-offs of the forthcoming DeLonge Hartley book. What an asshole. What an asshole you are, Tom DeLonge. Like, you don't have enough money, you rip off these guys' hoax, and then you don't even give any of the royalties to the family that is left over, that literally created it is the source material for your novel. That's cold, man. Ramy Baca's 1945 UFO crash boyhood true adventure story, first published in 2003, The Tale That Fooled Vallée, must not be confused with the UFO crash boyhood true adventure story that Baca pitched to Tom Carey in 2002, because that earlier story was set in 1946 and was very different from the 1945 story in every significant particular, except the identities of the 2 boy protagonists. Even Jacques Vallée now admits that 1946 Baca boyhood memory story was fiction, although witness Baca told Carey that it really happened to him and Padilla. You'll find a table comparing the 2 incompatible Baca Padilla UFO crash tales under the endnote number 17 in my latest update of the UFO Trinity crash hoax, link below. Guys, go check out Dean Johnson. Go read his stuff, because he really is one of the best shining lights on things like Bob Lazar, the Trinity case, and legislation when it comes to the NDAA and UAPs. He's really good with deciphering the bullshit, especially of Bob Lazar, George Knapp, and Jeremy Corbell. So if you've ever been curious on, I wonder if Bob Lazar is telling the truth, go read D.D. Johnson's work, and you'll read about how Bob Lazar was a pimp and how Bob Lazar's ex-wife was a Hell's Angel who got arrested for murder, or like conspiracy of murder. Just a lot of inconsistencies and red flags about Bob Lazar and the fact that George Knapp pushed that guy. Okay, so Chris Sharp was very upset about Brandon Fugel and Travis Taylor. And so it's just funny, man. It's just funny. Like, you got, again, like this one hand doing one thing while the other hand has no clue what the hell's going on. And it's just like, there's always 2 parts of this. There's one part giving you, sort of the bummer side of this story. And then there's the other part propping up the fantasy. And it seems like these news drops always come around the same time to sort of even people out. I don't know. I'm not saying there's a conspiracy to it, but it's just silly, man. Here's some great news. Fettuccine Split, the old uplifting tweets, his account got suspended. And there was something very funny in relation to that, which we're going to get into, I think, right now, because I think it's the next thing. Yeah, it's one of the next things. So this was... This screenshot was taken by Detective Dogbert, who's a friend. Thank you. He said, once again, for anyone who believes Lue's only involvement in the hate group is liking a tweet or two, This was posted by UAP Mike after Fettuccine Split got suspended from Twitter. He writes, Fetty Split, Fetty, I guess they're pals. I guess, again, Mike loves to platform and deeply supports harassment, racism, misogyny, any ism you want to throw in there. Mike loves it, and has supported it loudly. So Fetty Split is his good buddy. Boosted a clear parody account of somewhat obnoxious X Spaces host and was canceled. Aw. This is the interesting part, and we'll read Fetty Split's message here, his goodbye to Twitter. Lue Elizondo and Sancorp have assured me that he, Lue, is in contact with Elon Musk, and they're trying to work something out. Now, that was very interesting, and maybe I'm missing context. Maybe this is a joke from UAP Mike. I don't know. That's what they always say anytime they get caught doing shit like this, but puppet master of Matt Ford is Lue Elizondo. And just a few months ago, we had Matt Ford. Let's see, where's that clip? Here it is. This is one of the clips. This is not even the more intense of the clips. I haven't been able to find the other clip, but this is Matt Ford with good old Chris Sharp. And again, fair use. We're critiquing and commenting on this video that we are sharing, and this is covered under fair use and allowable by law. But this is Matt Ford complaining and bitching about the group Sancorp, and has inferred, and in this other video, he's basically saying debunkers are being paid by this corporation to spread misinformation, and that they have a budget, and that this budget was pointed out by who? Stephen Greenstreet, the journalist Stephen Greenstreet. He agreed and applauded Stephen Greenstreet in this clip we're about to watch, but he despises Sancorp. And now we've got a tweet from UAP Mike, who apparently is all buddy-buddy, not only with Fetty Split, but he's in direct contact with Lue Elizondo. And he's telling everybody that he's in contact with Elon Musk, and they're trying to work something out. They're trying to get uplifting tweets back. They're trying to get good old Fetty Split back. Before I get to that clip, I want to read what this maniac wrote. And again, this is a guy who's harassed people, and me included, who's helped dox people, who is just a menace, a human menace. And this message is just amazing, because the people who love this guy are all also cult members. They're all cult members. This is their cult. Taking a moment to express my gratitude to all friends and followers for the immense love and support. The journey of creating memes and art. You are the Atari version of what is Cosmic Judas is a PlayStation 5 when it comes to making memes about this community and art. You're not an artist. You're a fucking menace. Over the past few years has been incredible. Many of you have been a great source of inspiration. I bet we have been. He sells shirts with my face and things I've said on them. I don't know who's buying that, but apparently people. Despite a few self-centered individuals attempting to mar the experience, this community remains truly remarkable. When I first entered this space, I never imagined forming long-lasting friendships and discovering that one of those friends just lives 2 doors down. It still blows my mind. Reflecting on the time here, I take pride in the accomplishments we've achieved together. Which is what exactly? What the fuck have you guys accomplished? You haven't accomplished a fucking thing. You've done nothing. 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 what makes me proudest is how this community has shaped me into more understanding and accepting human being. That is like the most unaware thing that I think I've ever seen anybody write. Accepting, except of course, if you don't believe Lue Elizondo, then he attacks and makes memes an art of you. What a joke. What a joke. I hope others are experiencing the same evolution. Initially, if I spoke to an experiencer before joining this community, I might have dismissed their stories as absurd. However, over time, I educated myself and realized the reality and trauma many of them face. I hate to break it to you, the reality and the trauma many of those experiencers face have nothing to do with alien visitors. Zero. And because you're not a psychologist and you don't have a degree in parsing the human psyche, you don't understand that that trauma is extending from other places, not from people coming in spaceships and probing them. To be dismissive was shameful, and I'm proud to have moved past that. Going forward, I'm taking a short break. A forced break, asshole. You're being forced offline to recharge and spend time with my family. Just a heads up, I've appealed my ban. Oh, wow. Regardless of the outcome, catch me on Instagram. See, you're not going anywhere. You're not going to spend time with your family. You're not going to recharge. You're not going to do any of that shit. You're going to just go be a scumbag on another platform. So that line, though, from UAP Mike, the whole Sancorp got me thinking about this moment from good old Propaganda Ford. And let's listen to this.
One thing that we would love to dig into is Stephen Greenstreet found, which was a good thing he did find. I applaud this kind of journalism. He found, found that Arrow has spent 28 million or something like that out of their budget with this corporation called Sancorp to run a influence, basically an influence operation. I'm blanking. I just brain farted on the,
no, that's
on the
okay,
acronym,
man.
but it
happens.
Basically, it sounds like a disinformation campaign. So the thing you have to ask yourself, if Arrow doesn't have a front-facing website, they certainly don't tweet, why are they spending 28 million for a contractor to run IPMO, Influence Perception Management Office? You also have to remember Susan Go too. She got her master's or doctorate in psychological warfare.
Ooh, spooky.
And
Lue Elizondo is a counterintelligence officer. Ooh, spooky.
Working for OUSDINS. I mean, it's you can't make this stuff up. It's crazy.
So again, this is just the light mention of it. I think this might be the first time he mentions it. I do remember him putting out a video, although I can't find it. I can't find it on his Twitter, and I haven't been able to find it on his YouTube, although I didn't have a whole lot of time to look today. But this is just something that I wanted to talk about because in one breath, he's really shitting all over this organization and accusing people like Stephen Greenstreet and myself of being paid by organizations and companies like Sancorp. And then here we have a fucking text from good old UAP Mike saying that Lue Elizondo and Sancorp are working together to assure him that, hey, Elon Musk is going to take care of Fetty Split. Don't worry about it. We got you. So what the fuck does that mean? What the fuck does that mean? Why is Matt Ford shitting on it over here, but UAP Mike is okay with it over here? All right, Sancorp is going to get to the bottom of this. Don't worry about it, everybody. The entity that is evil and is paying debunkers is going to get to the bottom of Fetty Split's fucking, expulsion from Twitter. Bunch of maniacs, man. put in the link to the show. So if you guys want to call in, go ahead. Let's see. Can I pin? Why doesn't it let me pin the tweet? So weird, man. Let me do this. I'll pin it here. Maybe Keemstar will call in. Is that what somebody said? I doubt it. He was like, he wanted to do, I was reached out by Stephen Cambion to do the show with him on Cambion's channel. And I said, hey, listen, I could do it anytime, any day between 1 and 3, because that's the time of day I have to do something like that. Because the rest of my day is going toward rehearsals, auditions, and fucking like normal life. And I could do it on the weekend at any time you want. But he wanted it to happen in 3 days. Right now. I was like, dude, you had 4.5 hours to call into this show and you didn't do it. And it's the dust has settled. Nothing has happened to my channel. No influence has been lost. Nothing has happened to me. It's a joke. It's a joke. Like they're reaching for all of this bullshit. They're trying to pin things on me that are so stupid, and not even near or in the same ballpark of the things that have been said by Keemstar and Tupa, and have been endorsed and spun by Red Panda and Skyfire News as a whole. So, yeah, I don't have much to say. If they want to come on, they're more than welcome to. We could talk again. And I'm sure they'll have just as good of answers as they did the last time. Apparently, I'm going on another show next week that is a big Ash and Forbes supporter, which that'll be fun. So we'll go on that maybe next week. I don't know. They haven't gotten back to me. So yeah, anyway, so there's that. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about, or one of the last things I wanted to talk about, was AskaPol UAP, who is Matt Laszlo, Matt, who is it, Matt Laszlo. All right, I just want to make sure I got that right. I got the link in the description below, so go check it out. I've got his website right here. And so AskaPol is Ask a Politician. That's what it's short for. And they do crypto, AI, migration, drugs, and also UAPs. He's one of the few people in the halls of Congress that is actually asking lawmakers about UAPs. I've mentioned him before. I think there are much better questions that Matt Laszlo could be asking these lawmakers. We're going to listen to 3 clips that he had with Tim Burchett, Representative Luna, and Kirsten Gillibrand. There's a lot of inference. There's a lot of, ooh, isn't this like exciting kind of stuff? But I would love Matt Laszlo, if this ever does get to him, I would love him to ask questions of these lawmakers like, are they worried or concerned that these new organizations like Americans for Safe Aerospace that are petitioning you guys, our lawmakers, for dollars, if they're afraid or concerned or even familiar with the OSAP program and what that was and what a waste of $22 million that was and what that ended up investigating. Are they afraid that this conversation happening today is just a newer, more sophisticated version of OSAP? I would love somebody to ask a lawmaker that question. I would love Kirsten Gillibrand to answer that question, or Marco Rubio to answer that question, because they have hinted at before, especially Rubio, and this is why we talked about Bryan Bender, the idea of really smart, high-level intelligence people being fooled by really bad information. That's a scarier problem than aliens visiting our planet and, cutting off ears and asses of cows. Like, if we've got high-level intelligence people believing bullshit and they can't parse through information and come to a rational conclusion, that is scary as fuck. geospatial technical advisor or whatever he did there, whatever intelligence he provided to the Geospatial Intelligence Agency. Like, how do we know he was good at, if he can't parse through this information correctly, what kind of confidence do you have that he was actually good at his job? I don't know, like, these are questions that I ask anyway. So let's listen to Tim Burchett. And again, we've got the link to AskaPol in the description below. They are very much, they'd love for you to subscribe and donate to their content. So if you could do that, please do. But this is fair use, it's transformative work. We are educating the public on the audio clips that we are sharing in this case. And this is covered under fair use and allowable by law. And I also, if I had one more critique, just as a content creator, I mean, why not use your iPhone and get these guys' facial expressions while they're answering these questions? I think that would be insanely more valuable, and I think you would go more viral. You'd get more followers with video. I don't know if that's it behind your paywall, but I don't know. Maybe that's something you can entice people with. Hey, if you want to see the video version of this, check out, askapol.com or donate, blah, 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 blah. I really don't want to give you more ideas on how to monetize this shit, because I don't think this information should be monetized. These are public figures. I mean, if people want to support the channel and support your work, I'm all for that. But I don't think you should be putting two versions of the same story one behind a paywall and one is for free. You can, it's your right. You can do it. And I think it would work, for the record. But yeah, it would be cool if we had video with this. But anyway, so this is Laszlo talking to Burchett.
Do you have any idea where you guys might want your next hearing?
No, I don't. I don't know. I talked to the speaker about it.
Yeah, how'd that?
Yeah, it went really well. I'm sorry I didn't get back to you on that.
Oh, it's all good.
Busy.
You got a day job?
But yeah, I talked to the speaker about it. He made some notes about it, and he didn't seem like a committee problem having a regular committee here like we did before.
And do you guys still want field hearing, or would that?
Yeah, we can do field hearings without anybody's approval, apparently.
Yeah.
So, but the select committee, I don't think that's staffing.
So they're going to do another field hearing, essentially. And they don't need permission to do that. That's not a big deal. Again, nobody's going to show up to that because of who's running it. So people get excited. Oh my God, another hearing is coming. It's like, it's not that big a fucking deal. Okay, cool. So there's a field hearing coming. All right. Let's see what comes out of that.
Money, that's hassle.
Yeah.
I just don't see that happening.
How was Speaker Johnson? Was he familiar with the issue, or was a lot of it hearing?
Yeah, and the way I approached it to him was, look, we spent literally millions of dollars on an issue that our government says does not exist.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yet they, and now they're telling us they don't exist, but then they won't show us what they found in those studies. So let's that's the way I'm approaching it now to people in Congress, because they don't want the stigma, the saucers or the little green man, although several of them have seen saucers.
Did it feel like that resonated with Johnson?
Very much so. He wrote it down.
Yeah.
That's a big with Johnson. If he writes it down, it's and I just need to follow up. But honestly, I mean, we got everything else going on in that committee. So.
Yeah, funding the government, making sure the government continues in the next couple days or in the next few weeks. Because the government's about to go on freeze because it's about to run out of money because they can't agree on a budget. So the UFO thing is kind of taking the back burner, like it always will, because there will always be bigger fish to fry until those goddamn things show up in the skies and make it very clear that they are here to stay. They are here and they are legitimately real. It will always be a back burner issue. Always. And I mean, I don't even think I would call it a back burner issue. I would say it's on the rack, prepared, ready to go. It's been seared, maybe, You know, I think I'd say it's probably on the emergency rack, just in case you go through one too many steaks. It's on the emergency rack, way in the freezer, in the cold room. So, yeah.
Yeah, especially. I get it. How long did you meet Johnson?
A good bit. He came to Knoxville.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, good to see you.
Thanks, brother.
I gotta pet this little lady. How
That's
beautiful.
her name, lady.
Hi. Oh, I know she's beautiful. How's it going, y'all?
I mean, the one thing about Matt I will give him is that he's incredibly charismatic. So I think, like, you know, when he does get a congressman or a lawmaker to talk about this, they seem to, I mean, they know who he is, and they seem to have no issues whatsoever, you know, answering the questions that he asks. So that's why I would love to see, you know, some of these other questions maybe get in there and see what kind of responses we get. But I heard somebody pop in here. Oh, great. Here we go again. UAP Mike. I don't know. Chat, what do you think? Should we let this guy in? I don't think we should, but if you want to let him in, let's do hit the number 3, because I like the number 3. Let him in. No, don't let him in, says the UAP Mike. He's too handsome. I don't know about that. I disagree with that. All right, let's bring him in. UAP Mike, you're on the Lue Review Show. What is up? What do you got to say today?
Is my audio working? Yeah, I guess it's working. I saw someone sent me a little screenshot. A little birdie flew over and told me that, you know, I might have implicated Lue Elizondo in a major scandal. And
I don't know. Did you?
I missed it. I don't know. Well, you know, I wasn't the one claiming it, but you might have claimed it. I was just curious if you had any questions for me, if I could help maybe get some.
Yeah, can you
more
give us
information
can you give us the context of what you meant with the Fetty Split post here? You said Fetty Split boosted a clearly parody account of somewhat obnoxious X Spaces host. What host is he referencing there? And was canceled.
Yeah, they canceled him.
Yeah, so who was he impersonating a parody account of?
I think it was the Bryan guy.
The Bryan guy?
Yeah.
Who's the Bryan guy?
The guy he was impersonating. The Johnson. Bryan Johnson.
Bryan Johnson.
I don't even know if that's his real name. I'm perfectly honest. I just think that's just the handle.
Okay, so you think he got canceled from Twitter because he made a parody account of Bryan Johnson?
No, well, again, why don't you go ahead to the top of that and read it in its full context, okay? Go ahead, because I know reading can be a little tough sometimes, but there is some context before that.
Mike, I'm asking you. Answer the fucking question.
All right, I will read it out loud since you're having trouble.
Yay!
Boosted, that's the word, a clear parody account. Yeah, so that's what I already said. You're needing me to repeat what I've already stated clearly.
Okay. So what does that mean? He boosted a clear parody account.
I don't know. I guess it means he bought followers for the parody account.
Okay. See, why don't you just say that? How am I supposed to know? How am I supposed to know what the fuck that means, Mike? How am I supposed to know that he paid for followers to follow this? So that's why he got suspended, was because he paid for followers for a parody account?
I'm pretty sure boosted is a pretty understood term in that context, right?
Okay.
I mean, are you saying
I didn't understand it.
Confusing?
I didn't understand it.
I'm sorry. This world must be very confusing for you. I don't know how
it's
you're
so confusing.
Navigating.
Okay, all right, let's go on to the next part. So Lue Elizondo and Sancorp have assured me, I'm assuming that means you,
Us.
That us?
Multiple of us, yes.
But you said has assured me.
I know. I want to expand that. I want to make it.
You want to expand it? Okay, cool.
Yes.
Excellent. So you want to expand? Who's us?
The Illuminati.
Who's us, Mike? Can you be specific?
I'm telling you. You think I'm joking? It's the Illuminati, dude.
Okay, so Lue Elizondo and Sancorp. So Lue Elizondo and Sancorp have assured you that he's in contact with Elon Musk and they're trying to work something out.
That is what I've heard.
That's what you heard from who?
A source.
Who's your source?
Well, that's a good question. We have many sources.
Oh.
Some are, connected to certain organizations that might have been mentioned.
Like what?
But, my hands are tied at the moment.
I love how you come here to clarify things, but you add no specificity to a fucking thing. Thank you, Mike. Life must be so fucking hard for you, Mike, when you come and try to clarify things for people. Because you do a piss poor job at it. So are you saying that Lue Elizondo, according to your sources, according to the well-connected UAP Mike, who's got his pulse on the fucking corpse that is UFO Twitter,
and handsome,
is saying Lue Elizondo and Sancorp are in cahoots? Wasn't Sancorp paying debunkers?
It's a very confusing situation.
Oh, can you clear it up for us?
The Illuminati have taken over management at Sancorp, and we are turning it around. Lue Elizondo is, very well connected to us there. And look, I don't know how this all works. That's just what my sources are telling me. I'm conveying it to the internet. Obviously, I am a reliable source of information, and vis-a-vis you are now also for covering this. So I'll be happy. Again, you guys know where to find me.
Nobody knows where to find you, Mike.
I'm on the Twitter sphere.
So no clarity added to the context. There's no context to this. You're being serious when you say Lue Elizondo and Sancorp have assured me that he's in contact with Elon Musk?
I am 110% serious. All of this is happening, and you should all be very concerned about it.
Interesting. Okay, well there you go. I guess you heard it from UAP Mike in his sarcastic tone. We can't really tell what the fuck he's saying because again, he comes into a space and adds no clarity. He sends things out like this and expects people to know exactly what he's talking about.
I just hope nobody reports this to the police and I get in a lot of trouble and arrested.
Okay, Mike. Okay.
And go to jail.
Okay. Is there anything else, man, or are you done? Are you done?
Well, I just wanted to help get some.
You didn't help shit. You didn't help a fucking thing. Are you done? Is there anything else?
I'm sorry. I'll help again later, next time. Sorry.
Okay. Thanks. What a goonie. Like, this is what I'm saying. I think what he's doing, he might be in trouble. I think he might be in a little bit of trouble. I think people might be yelling at him a little bit. And now he's trying to back this with I'm sarcastic. This is a sarcastic post now. This is a joke now. So yeah, it's just like, which one is it, man? I have no clue. That's why I'm talking about it. Because is it Sancorp is evil and paying debunkers, or is it Sancorp is working with Lue Elizondo, or is it Sancorp is working with both? I have no idea. I mean, clearly this person here also didn't understand the context of this. And so when you send something like this out, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if people are calling him and very, very upset, saying, "What the fuck are you doing, Mike? Shut the fuck up." But I'm sure he gets that a lot because life is very difficult for a troll. Like, friends and people around you are probably always telling you to shut the fuck up, But hey, let's see. I don't know if I'm going to play all of this because it's so stupid. But let's see what cult member UFO Jesus... says it's a disgrace that the UAP Disclosure Act did not get passed, and I'm pissed. This is not a joke. Wake up! Watch my rants. And so this is
Ego
rant.
offends me. Your hubris offends me. It stinks, and I am pissed.
Uh-oh.
The UAP Disclosure Act sponsored by Mike Rounds and Chuck Schumer, should have gotten passed. And it's an absolute disgrace that it didn't.
Even though that
and
bill
anyone who
would have sent you
fails to
back
see that
20 fucking
is
years.
blinded by their own ego and subjectivity. If what Grush is saying is true, and I don't know that it is, but I think it is, then that act needed to get passed. All you have to do is look at the 70-plus year history of UFOs. There's no way we can predict what they will do next, and that is where the problem lies. One of the statements that Grush has made, as well as Dr. Eric Davis, and many people who have been plugged in to, having security clearances and being read into the topic, is that not only do UFOs crash, but they land. And when they land, sometimes the occupants aren't in the craft anymore, or sometimes they're dead. But why is that so significant? It underscores intention and willingness to engage with humanity on such an intimate level. How can we assume that this phenomena will continue the same pattern it's been doing since we've been observing them?
Oh, I don't know.
What if one day they decide we're done playing footsie and we're just going to do open contact?
Yeah.
Now let me ask you a question.
Yeah, what is it?
If that emerges, and none of us know the probability of that happening.
Zero.
None of us do.
Go on.
And that's a problem, isn't it? But if that happens, can anyone in their right mind make the argument that we're better off that the UAP Disclosure Act didn't pass? Wake up!
Can anybody make the argument that it
From the
didn't
June
pass
5th
after they reveal themselves?
debrief article.
What are you talking about?
This is a citation that ties in to what I'm saying. Grush said it was dangerous for this 80 years arm race to continue in secrecy because it further inhibits the world populace to be prepared for an unexpected non-human intelligence contact scenario. Y'all are so egotistical. You got hubris addiction. Oh, I know what's best. I'm going to stand in the way of the UAP Disclosure Act because it's not the right language. Let's go 3 more years. You moron. You fucking moron. That ideology is not going to work if one day the phenomena does something unexpected. Then you're the villain. You've automatically become the villain, haven't you?
No, you automatically, nobody knows who you are. And nobody knows who you are. Nobody's going to go around and say, you didn't believe it, you didn't believe it, you didn't believe. Well, look at that. There they are. Nobody's going to do that, Ryan Robbins. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody's doing that, bro. Everybody's going to go, oh, okay, yeah. Okay, yep. All right, got to go to work. I'll see you guys. Yeah, no, we'll talk about this later tonight. Yeah, all right, cool. Later.
Haven't you? Because that act getting passed would have prepared all 8 billion of us for something we never expected.
No, it would not have. No, it would not have. That bill does not need to pass. That bill is irrelevant if they show themselves. Completely irrelevant. Did not need that bill for them to stop playing footsies.
But because that act didn't get passed, you've opened up the door for catastrophic disclosure of the worst kind. As opposed to due diligence to prepare us for something that could absolutely happen and we'll never see it coming. It's enraging. What is it about UFOs that turns people's brains off? I don't know. I don't get it. I have every right to be livid that act did not get passed.
Okay.
People are gambling with many scenarios that could happen and just expecting them not to.
Whoa, catastrophic disclosure.
Let's do a little thought experiment.
All
Let's
right.
do a fucking
Another
thought
one?
experiment.
All right, okay.
If you knew 2 or 3 years from today that the phenomena would initiate open contact, would you still be relying on any of the reasons or logics you had when the Disclosure Act was being debated? If you stood would you still stand in the way of it getting passed? Would you still stand in the way of the Disclosure Act getting passed if you knew 2 years from today open contact would be initiated? I fucking doubt it.
Okay.
Y'all got hubris addiction because you think you know what the phenomena is going to do.
Let me ask you a fucking question, pal. If I did say yes, if I did block it knowing that they were going to come, would that bill block them from coming, or not signing that bill block them from coming? Would it be relevant if they decided to come tomorrow? Can you answer that fucking question, you little maniac?
But at the same time, it's like, we have to acknowledge how stupid this is.
Yes, we do.
We have to be honest with ourselves.
Yes,
it's a
you do.
disgrace that it didn't get passed.
It's not a disgrace.
It's an absolute disgrace.
No, it's not.
It's hard. If you have a counter argument for that, go for it. But again, if you knew 2 years from now, the phenomena would initiate contact.
You know what's a disgrace? Having a crumbling infrastructure and being the shining beacon for the world on how to do capitalism correctly. And that it's better than any other example out there like communism or whatever. Socialism. Monarchies. Like, dude, it's so... He's so angry for nothing.
You perceive the necessity of that UAP Disclosure Act getting passed very differently. You would perceive it as a must pass.
What if I said not signing that bill forced the aliens to come forward sooner? Would I still not sign that bill? Would you not sign the bill? If you knew not signing it meant they were going to get here 2 years earlier? 2026 instead of 2028? According to the Soul, we're not getting this shit till 2035. So,
but you got hubris addiction. You think the odds of the phenomena continuing as it always has is so high that we have all the time in the world. And I don't like the UAP Disclosure Act language. So I'm going to stand in its way and not get it passed because I know what's best for 8 billion people. And I know what the phenomenon is going to do. It's a fucking disgrace.
It's a fucking disgrace.
Okay, so I just reviewed my rant and...
He just reviewed his rant, so he's going to come back and clarify some stuff.
I'm going to publish this on Twitter. I stand by
everything.
My expression of
frustration.
Being
anger,
dumbfounded, befuddled. I don't know. You give me some adjectives that it didn't get passed. Considering the stakes.
Ooh.
It is. It's so absurd.
What are the stakes?
I need like a genius brain to even begin to articulate it optimally.
Come on, you're a smart guy. You could do this.
The absurdity is hard to capture in words. It's like people who have...
I think what you're doing is you're making a video about a topic that would not be significant in any way to stopping or bringing forth disclosure. It would not have an effect on either one of those things, especially if it was up to them to stop playing footsies.
near-death experiences and they come back and they can't explain it because the English language is not good enough, I'm not sure I can explain how ridiculous it is that legislation did not get passed. And I think it's justified for people to be enraged that it didn't get passed and distraught and befuddled. And I do think it's a disgrace. But to clarify, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody.
No.
Yes.
Right. You're pissed. You're disgraced, but you will not call anyone out. You will not call out your buddy Travis Taylor because Travis Taylor's your buddy. He made that video about aliens, coming to Earth, and he's on Skinwalker Ranch. Bryan Fugel, he's such a nice guy. He's so open and transparent. So I'm not going to name anybody, but man, I am pissed. I'm so upset.
I've reflected more on it not getting passed because of what has been happening on UFO Twitter recently.
So it's Brandon Fugel and Travis Taylor. Just say it. Just say it, buddy. Let it off your chest. Feels good.
And I'm not saying that people were being unreasonable for being upset about the eminent domain clause within the Disclosure Act. I'm not saying that. For all I know, people like Brandon Fugel and Travis Taylor wanted the Disclosure Act to get passed, but they were vehemently against the eminent domain clause. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm not saying they did anything wrong for having that perspective. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm saying it should have gotten passed.
Oh.
Whatever compromises needed to be made should have been made. Whatever efforts members of Congress needed to make to get it passed, they should have made it. At the end of the day, it was Congress that failed, right? It just was. Granted, some members of Congress were allies toward the bill and some were antagonistic against it. So look, I believe in freedom of thought. I believe in the marketplace of ideas. I believe in debate and argumentation. I am not condemning anybody at all. All I'm saying is it should have gotten passed. If the eminent domain issue was a problem, then that should have been removed from the bill and everything left intact. Because what's most pressing...
Again, do you think the United States government is going to let anyone who just happened to be lucky enough to own the piece of property that this craft crashes into, does anyone in their right mind think that that person is going to keep it? You guys are so dumb. Not dumbfounded, just dumb. Just dumb. Just stop right there. UAP Mike and his really, really dumb wife and this dumb philosophy and philosophizer and these prophets of profit and all their dumb bullshit. Like, it's just dumb. All of it is super dumb. Just dumb. I've come here to clarify. I'm here to clarify, but I can't tell you anything. Who's us? The Illuminati. Like, it's so dumb. You guys are so dumb. You just put these messages out there thinking that nobody's going to read them or connect the bullshit that you guys spin from all these other directions. You guys just think you're so much smarter than everyone else around you. I would love for you to come on this show, Mike, and explain Lue Elizondo's text message that I misunderstood. Love for you to come and explain that to me. English professor Mike. Love it. Please. Line's still open. Actually, we're out of time. We're out of time. We're going to finish this and then we're out of here.
Is that the phenomena does what it wants to do. It doesn't care what we think. It doesn't care what we expect. It doesn't care about how smart we think we are or how much we understand the phenomena. It does what it wants. And just because it's followed a certain pattern for a long time doesn't mean it's going to continue that pattern. It's pretty brazen. If you look at UFO history, look at the school landings, the alleged school landings, but I think there's a lot of good evidence that those happened.
No, there's not.
Watch Finn Hanley's YouTube videos.
Oh.
People have close encounters with these objects all the time. Some people claim they've been abducted. This is not a phenomena that's at a distance. It's a phenomena that's on our fucking laps.
Ooh.
And that is why the Disclosure Act should have gotten passed. And it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace that it did not get passed. And I'm not saying it's a disgrace that people were against eminent domain. I'm not saying that. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody.
All the believers, all the people that I agree with, I'm totally cool with. Totally, we're cool, right? Fucking schmucks. Okay, let's get on to this question from Laszlo to Representative Luna. And this is in reference to, again, I got AskaPol's link in the description below, so check them out. But
Bertie
let's
told
listen
me
to this.
that you had a briefing with Mr. Gates and you saw bodies?
I cannot discuss these things, you know that.
Was that classified or?
I'm sure we'll have field hearings. No comment.
No comment?
No
It's
comment.
intriguing. Have a good one, ma'am.
Again, we've already established field hearings are not a big deal. Okay. And here's the thing. This morning, Matt Laszlo was on the Good Propaganda Show.
Nice.
Yes,
And
this is going to be an interesting one. Here we go.
Discuss these things, you know that.
they're going to
Was
play
that
the clip again.
classified or?
I'm sure we'll.
Did I another?
This is hilarious when he came back.
Did we lose him?
I'm there.
No, there you go. Did I cut some of the clip
Grabs
off, or
in
was
a
it
beer.
really only
Love
22
it.
seconds?
Oh, it's short.
Okay.
I can
okay.
break news in 1 second on the Hill with one wink from the
Yeah.
senator.
Copy that. So give us a summary of what you thought about what Luna had to say.
I mean, to me, what stands out is the unspoken, what she couldn't say. I mean, what we have now from her and Gates is confirmed that they were in a classified setting, were briefed, and they do not disagree with my source who told me that they were shown video of bodies, recovered bodies, whatever that means. And so it was interesting when Matt Gaetz people reached out to me the next day, like his press secretary DM'd me because I had texted Gaetz that day asking for him to confirm or deny it. Like, that's my job. I'm not pro anything. I'm like, hey, tell me if this is bullshit because I don't want to spread bullshit. And then the next day, Gaetz's people were like, hey, we're going to send you a statement. And part of me was like, oh, fuck. They waited this long and now they're going to refute it? But nope, they didn't. They didn't say Laszlo's full of shit. Why is he asking about bodies? That had nothing to do with our briefing. Nope. They just said, hey, it was a classified briefing. We had it and we can't discuss it. So that's why if there's any whistleblowers out there, I'm on Signal, I'm on WhatsApp, I'm on Proton Mail, carrier pigeons are allowed to deliver to my mailbox. Any way you want to get me sensitive info, pass it our way. Which reminds me, I should get some insurance.
Probably so. And if you're a whistleblower listening, don't go to Arrow. that we know that. For sure.
No, don't go to Arrow, says Matt Ford. Again, the idea that it's what she didn't say is what I found interesting. She had a classified briefing. Maybe she got a little bit more clarity onto the things that she thought were going on. A little birdie told you that they saw pictures of bodies. That could mean a lot of different things. So many different things. And here's the kicker of it all. Representative Luna and Matt Gaetz are literally the bottom of the barrel when it comes to lawmakers. They are the scrum. They are the worst of the worst when it comes to legislators on the Hill. Matt Gaetz doesn't even sit on the proper committees to look at classified information anymore. They kicked them off of it. Again, a field hearing is not going to reveal alien bodies. And this wink, wink, nudge, nudge thing is just a inference. They are inferring that these are alien bodies. That way they could keep all of their little minions fed on that breadcrumb. Because that'll last them a fucking year. Or they'll just forget about it. and they'll never mention it again because they can't. But we'll see. We shall see. There was another clip from Senator Gillibrand that I wanted to play real quick before we get out of here. It's right here. All right, here we go.
Welcome to AskaPol's podcast, where Laszlo's on the mic unexpectedly because she was a little cagey. Different way you'll see in the second half. Gillibrand that we're dropping that's classified. But then it's intriguing when I bump into her again and ask questions from a different way. You'll see in the second half or the second interview that she kind of sheds more light. And I think from this, my takeaway, and hopefully you can see this, is I'm always looking for different angles, different ends, even looking at different outs when doors close. I have to know to avoid that. And so I'm always studying lawmakers to see how I can get in, especially knowing that this is classified material, that they're not supposed to talk about it, that they can actually go to jail for talking about it.
Propane tanks.
So anyway, that is the introduction to our exclusive with New York's junior senator, Kirsten Gillibrand, who, remember, she's one of only 6 members of the Senate who is on both the Intelligence Committee and the Armed Services Committee. So without further ado, here is Miss Gillibrand. Hey, Senator.
Oh, hi.
Separate topic.
Yeah.
How was your visit in Nevada with the Air Force?
Excellent.
What was the topics du jour? I was a little surprised to see you out there.
Manufacturing.
Manufacturing?
Yeah.
Because in the House they're investigating whether...
I was in Nevada and California. So I got to tour a couple of different manufacturers and what they're doing for the Air Force. It was very exciting.
Because in the House, they're investigating the UAP issue and whether Northrop Grumman and Lockheed are part of the cover-up.
Yeah, I know that allegation. I know the allegation did not come up in my review.
No.
But I was very grateful to see the excellent work that our military is doing.
Yeah. Was that campaign stuff for your colleagues, or?
Everything I was doing was classified. That was Air Force related, but what I was doing in Nevada after and California after was for my campaign.
You guys have so much fun with your classification.
I know.
Have fun, ma'am. Appreciate it. And so now, going into our second run-in with Miss Gillibrand, you'll hear that the first part of the conversation, we were just chatting off the record, where I got some off-the-record information that I can't and will not ever share. But in that conversation, you'll see that I quickly, as soon as I could, naturally steered it on the record, and that's when I clicked my mic on. And here we go. Here's part 2 of our exclusive with Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. And real quick, remember, we are AskaPol.com. Please subscribe, retweet us, share us.
Go check them out. I got the link in the description below.
All right, without further ado, here's Kirsten Gillibrand.
On record, yeah.
Well, what the hell was that thing flying over U.S. airspace?
Which one?
Just recently.
Oh, I didn't see it.
They announced it in the past.
That is crazy. Okay, so he's asking her about the recent the new balloons that were shot down or seen over our airspace right after the Super Bowl, literally a year after it happened. And Senator Gillibrand has no clue what that's about. She did not hear about it, which I find incredible that she had no clue about this.
It just came up for like a day in my feed and then went away.
I don't know about it.
She did
so
no clue.
I'll look into it.
Because it kind of reminded me of...
So I'm very concerned, this is on the record, I'm very concerned about UAPs, particularly drone technology, aircraft technology that is constantly around our military sites. And it's a form of ubiquitous surveillance that causes grave concern for me. And we need to know, is it Russia, China, is it Russia, China, Iran, or other? Because it's highly relevant that we can function as military bases, but also it's important that we can protect secrets, and it's important that we have air superiority. And
her tune has completely changed on this. She doesn't want to hear about top secret programs, reverse engineering. She doesn't want to hear about recovered bodies. She doesn't want to hear about any of that shit. Now it's all about adversaries and national security, because I think that she now understands exactly what pilots are seeing. She now understands what why people are getting fooled like David Grush. She now understands the bigger picture of what is actually going on with this whole UAP discussion. And she's telling you straight up, this is a national security issue. I am concerned about new developments of our adversaries. She's got nothing to do with aliens visiting our planet.
Domain awareness. Yeah. All those things are
domain awareness.
Of high concern for me. And I'm hoping that in this year's defense bill, we can add more resources for sensors.
For sensors. Yeah. No, thank God she didn't say for organizations to look at this. But more sensors for the military so they can look at this.
Ask more about that next week. Have a good one, man.
And that's it. There you go. I mean, she's completely changed her tune. The only people that are saying shit about alien bodies and wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah. I may have seen them. Maybe your birdie was right. This is why I want video. Like, so I can see her facial expressions when she gives you the answer. Because the way it's being sold is like, yeah, your little bird was right. And even Matt Gaetz didn't correct it. So therefore they saw bodies. Okay. So they saw bodies. They didn't deny it, but they also didn't fucking confirm it. And no field hearing, and they do not sit on any committees that I think would give them access to actually seeing alien bodies if we have them, which I don't think we do. And if they are human remains, they are definitely not getting out. For sure. That information will never see the light of day. And this was also just because we were talking about it, this whole, standing against the Schumer amendment. This was Brandon Fugel's response, because I'm sure UAP Mike said something really gross and disgusting here. And so he responded with, I'm obviously wanting the world to know and continue to be fully transparent. An eminent domain action could potentially compromise our efforts to present all of our findings and discoveries to the public. I often feel like I'm one of the only people that really cares and is willing to put their reputation and resources on the line for disclosure. And then he says something else. He says, wrong. You do not understand all the implications. And so I'm sure there was a back and forth between UAP Mike and Brandon. And Brandon's always going to defend himself like this. And like, again, like in a perfect world, I think Brandon's right. But even if that wasn't in the amendment, okay, the eminent domain, let's say they take it out and they say, okay, if a UFO crashes in your ranch, Brandon Fugel, you get to keep it. It ain't going to happen. They're going to come, they're going to confiscate it for national security reasons. And that's it. And that trumps any bill that will ever be written for the rest of time. So you and UFO Jesus, all of you guys can just chill the fuck out. The UAP DA is dead. It was dead on arrival. It didn't get passed, and it does not change the course of disclosure. It's not going to bring catastrophic disclosure. It's not going to, it literally is inconsequential to anyone. Nobody gave a shit about it. Nobody fucking cared except for this subculture. And we'll end with Ancient Aliens Live is continuing to bring the extraterrestrial evidence to you this spring. Check out the upcoming dates and tickets and get tickets while you can. Look at this. The old Ancient Aliens tour. What a shit show. That's what ufology is. That's what they want. They want more of this. They want more books, more movies, more mystery, more trust me, bros. That's where we're at. That is the state of ufology. So enjoy your empire of dirt, believers. I hope you enjoy. Ooh, that was loud. Sorry, guys. Anyway, so yep, that was a show, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. That was a good time. We're gonna be making. Oh, we got one more caller here. I didn't even notice. Hello, friend of the show.
Hey, Lou. Thanks for noticing, man.
Yeah, sorry, I just missed you here. Hold on a second. Let me turn down this music here. Let me turn down this music so everyone can hear you. There we go. All right, what do you got?
Yeah, no worries. I just was pretty much blown away by this Green Street thing. He actually found the contracts that Sancorp has where money gets doled out to AARO for perception management. And also the Undersecretary of Defense is associated with this stuff as well, which guess who was an employee of it? Elizondo.
Oh. Yeah, there's no shocker there.
You got to bring up that Green Street tweet. It's like just mind-blowing what's going on. I mean, we're literally having the U.S. government pay to manipulate the UFO narrative. And Elizondo is likely one of the people that might be in control of the money doling it out.
Right. Well, I mean, like, yeah, it wouldn't shock me. And I know, like, Steven reported on this a while ago. But it was picked up by the UFO community as, oh, well, this group must be paying debunkers, and maybe it's doing both sides. Who knows?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good question. And the thing is, it's, I mean, this is not an inconsequential amount of money.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't take much to influence the various trolls and stalkers and super creeps like UAP Mike that we see running around.
Yeah.
Doing this stuff.
So I'm going to read his entire tweet. So he says the defense company has current money contracts with Pentagon UFO propaganda offices. Sancorp has been paid $2 million of $4.1 million for the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the Pentagon's UFO office. Also, $3.3 million of the $4.2 million for the Influence and Perception Management Office within Arrow. What's the IPMO? Well, an IPMO, of course, is the acronym for the Image and Perception Management Office. Well, this recent article by Ken Klippenstein in The Intercept breaks it down pretty well, and he links the article there. Random highlights from the article. Perception management, quote, came from prominence during the Reagan administration, which used the term to describe its propaganda efforts. Its work was to, quote, provide news items, possibly include false ones. Any misleading information and falsehoods could easily be repeated by the American news outlets. Quote, the Influence and Perception Management Office will serve as a senior advisor to the USDIS Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security for strategic operational influence and perception management, reveal and conceal matters. Should note that dubious UFO whistleblower, quote, UFO whistleblower Lue Elizondo worked at USDI before his resignation to tell the world about UFOs. I reached out to Sancorp and asked them what they were doing for Arrow. They told me they couldn't tell me and to contact the representatives at DOD. I asked who their representative was. They couldn't remember her name. So they went to look it up. I asked, is it Susan Goff? The Sancorp rep replied, yes, that's it. Do you know her? And I said, quote, I'm familiar with Susan Goff. Yes. I reached out to Susan. I did not get a response. I sent 2 follow-ups over the last 2 weeks and still have not heard anything. This is not the first time the DOD has completely blown me off. Anyways, wanted to share these current puzzle pieces. They may mean something, they may not, but following the money never hurts. Should also note that the 2 contracts I highlighted above were only 2 of 16 contracts Sancorp has with the DOD. It's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing with Susan Goff is like, you know, almost like gold standard confirmation that this is going on.
Right.
And it's real.
Right.
I mean, you know, it's just.
Well, I could tell you if Lue Elizondo was paid to do what he did to me, man, I'd be pissed. And I think I would have a legitimate lawsuit.
Our tax dollars.
Yeah.
Our tax dollars doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I paid for this to happen to me.
Yeah, I don't remember, voting for that.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was something that Obama passed when he was in office. They had passed some legislation that allows them essentially to run psyops on its own citizens.
Yeah, I forget. I think he did that during his second term.
His second term. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
so
but
I mean,
it's pretty disgusting that
it sucks.
the
No,
U.S. government.
This sucks. This sucks. Like it's bullshit. It's bullshit. And yeah, I mean, like but what I find interesting is that it was used to attack the bunkers. But here we have literal like connections from Lue Elizondo, not only on paper and in like in job titles and people that he worked for, but then you've also got on, you know, the UFO Twitter side of things where UAP Mike is saying that he's working with Sancorp to get, you know, accounts back up and running.
Yeah, and I actually did the whole stupid dance with UAP Mike, you know, him acting like he was trolling me and then him acting, you know, like it wasn't real. And I think he was really actually maybe trying to cover it up so that we wouldn't dig into it.
I think he is too. I think he got yelled at for that post. I wonder, I don't know. So. I don't know. I'm blocked, but I would almost bet he's deleted it.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't
know. Can
I'll
anybody
just say that I haven't. Oh, what's that?
I was asking the audience if anybody could go to UAP Mike's account and confirm that. Let me know.
Oh, okay.
Here's LOL Cow Live. Nice. Welcome to the show. Thanks for watching, jerk off. Yeah. What were you gonna say? I'll sorry.
Have to say, I haven't seen anything from Mike since Green Street's post, and I directly, you know, contacted him. Yeah, and I think he's in hiding now because, like, he screwed up.
I mean, I think the way he came in here and he was like, "Well, let me clarify it for you," and then didn't clarify anything. And yeah, like that's his move is anytime they fuck up, they'll play it off like it's a joke. You know, or they didn't mean it. But behind the scenes, they probably got in trouble. They probably had a little talking to by somebody. I don't know, but that's kind of what this smells like a little bit. You know?
Yeah. Elizondo needs to be asked about his connection with Sancorp money every time he makes an appearance in public.
Yeah, well, good luck getting that. You know?
Yeah, I know. But like, that. You know, but this is literally like what the U.S. government is doing in other things, you know? Yeah. Like the Justice Department was caught doing this literally to the Trump campaign. I mean, it's open news now.
We do this in other countries. This is what we do in other countries to get what we want politically going in other parts of the world. So now they're
Elections,
just turning it. They're turning it around on us, and it's scary. And to think that they've got a budget of $4.5 million for UFOs to manipulate the American public on it's like, why? Why are they doing this? And again, like, I think this just strengthens the idea of, well, again, I think the United States military, the DOD, Susan Goff, Lue Elizondo, the Undersecretary for Defense and Intelligence and Security would much rather have everybody pointing at the sky yelling, "Oh my God, alien," instead of, "Oh my God, brand new defense toy," or, "Oh my God, it's Chinese." And
we need a bigger defense budget. Yeah.
Right.
And, you know, and the thing is, like, this money goes a long way. The UFO community is so damn poor in terms of the size of the pie, unless you get like lucky and, you know, get like a TV show or something, or a successful book, one of the very few, you know.
Right.
And you could, oh my God, you could do so much with a bunch of money in this field to get whatever narrative you want. And what if these guys are all working together, right?
Right.
Susan Gao, Kirkpatrick, Elizondo, and it's all just pushing the narrative.
Yeah.
No, and they're all just playing parts.
I think it could be a revolving door, you know, where it's like you only get slices of it as the door turns, and you can't get the whole picture because you're only getting slivers of it as it goes. And it wouldn't shock me, man. It would not shock me if all of these parts to this conversation are all in cahoots with each other to spin both of these narratives. So again, it's just a distraction. It's a super easy distraction for a lot of things, not just hiding tech, you know? It's a super great distraction for getting other bills passed. It's a super great distraction for, you know, everything and anything. So, yeah, it's scary.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting and it's
and
scary.
We've got to track all the people in the field, you know, to make sure that our perception management operation is working.
Yeah, exactly. You know? Exactly. Well, hey, thanks for calling in. Yeah, well, one last thing.
Yeah,
go for it.
No problem. Sorry to go on, man.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, do you have another? Wait. Do you have another thing to say before you leave?
Oh, well, no, well, yeah, actually, just like stuff like Lue Elizondo accidentally meeting you at work. I'm calling BS on that. That's all.
Oh, man, I know. A lot of people think that, but honestly, when I met Lue Elizondo, I didn't have a podcast on YouTube at all. I hadn't even started one. I hadn't even I hadn't even put the idea on paper yet. Yeah, I was in my head. I was thinking about it. And he walked in, like, when I tell you the restaurant I worked at was like a really well-known restaurant. And so to have people walk in like that randomly is not out of the realm of possibility. And I genuinely think it was just a random chance meeting, only because he walked in there with the entire production team of season 2 of Unidentified. And so they were literally between meetings trying to just get in a quick meal before another meeting. And like I said, I didn't have a channel. I knew who he was. I'd seen season 1. You know, I told him I was a fan, you know, and we had talked, but he didn't tell me to start a podcast. He didn't encourage me to, none of that shit ever happened that he says happened. I hadn't even had a show when I met him. Those are excellent points. It was after meeting him and talking to my girlfriend and being like, oh, I think because I had a big worry at the time being an actor. I was like, look, I don't want anybody in this town thinking I'm crazy, you know, or a loon. But I feel like this discussion is in a safe enough place where it's destigmatized enough because the right people are talking about it. I think I can do a show about it. I think it's safe for me to do it. And for a long time, I was right, you know, and I think most people who look at this on the surface would still think I was right. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, of course, there's a possibility of aliens coming here. I think a lot of people are very open-minded to that idea.
Much
I mean,
more so now.
You know, quickly after dealing with these guys for a couple years, I quickly learned that, yeah, that's not the case. It's not the case. So, you know, now I spend a lot of my waking moments trying to get people back off the old rabbit hole, the old UFO rabbit hole. But hey, I appreciate you calling in.
Hey, thanks for the good work you do, man. I really appreciate the show.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing it and calling in. You make the show. Man. You help produce the show, so I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Well, okay, so that's the show, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me get this music back on. There we go. I can't have music and guests on at the same time. It doesn't work. Hold on a second. My system is not that fancy yet. You know, we're not the Good Trouble Show. We don't have that kind of production. We're not getting paid by Sancorp like the Good Trouble Show and that UFO podcast and all the other wonderful shit show podcasts and bullshit narratives that are out there. I wonder if Jesse Michaels is getting paid by him. And I bet it's not like a check that says Sancorp. I don't know. That's just so interesting, man. It's so weird. This is weird shit. Very weird shit. And don't be shocked if Lue Elizondo is connected to this shit, because we all know that he's a government contractor. I just don't think anybody knows where he's contracting. And if he's contracting for Sancorp, oh boy, that would be a scandal. That would be a legit, you want this fucking story to go mainstream? That would be a way for this story to go mainstream if Lue Elizondo gets caught being part of this. Oh boy. Yeah. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Again, if you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell. That way you're notified anytime we go live. Thank you to the one guy that called in. The other guy, not so much. I think you're a piece of garbage. But hey, thanks for helping produce the show with your bullshit. Let's see here. What else? So yeah, thank you once again for embarking on this journey of discovery together. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and thank you for subscribing to Lue Reviews and helping raise the bar. If you love this show, check out the Patreon down below. Thank you guys so much for all the support. We'll see you soon, I'm sure. Have a great night. Peace out.